totally and completely evil. And now Sophie Cunningham, who's at, by the way, the height of her fame right now, says, I got a lot of negative feedback when asked about the trans issue by ESPN. And I'm like, don't care. I think that I'm here to extend love, but I also think that love is truth and being honest. And I want to protect young girls in the locker room, young girls in a sport who shouldn't have to go against a biological man. Now, why is that important that Sophie Cunningham just said that? And she doubled down on it, actually, when asked about it in an interview here. The reason why it's important that she said that is because, one, it's the breaking of the fever dream that men and women are the same.
For the girls, that innocent little phrase somehow became more explosive than a fourth-quarter buzzer beater, and now Brittney Griner has been dragged into a controversy that started with Sophie Cunningham, exploded with Benny Johnson, and somehow turned a basketball game into a courtroom for biology. Suddenly, everyone has an opinion, nobody agrees on the rules, and the WNBA is discovering that one t-shirt can cause more chaos than an entire marketing department. And it gets even stranger.
Many years, people have been speculating, is Brittney Griner actually a female or a male? Now, Brittney Griner actually does play in the WNBA, which is a women's basketball association, right? But when you actually listen to Brittney Griner's voice is very, very masculine, okay? Now, Brittney Griner is also a lesbian, and we found out probably about, 3-4 months ago that Brittney Griner's lover, Cheryl, a woman,
a t-shirt with 3 words on it managed to do something that years of league marketing campaigns could not. It turned a Tuesday night regular season game into a national conversation about biology, censorship, and who exactly gets to decide what a woman is.
Brittney Griner was filmed topless playing basketball with some friends, and the internet had a transphobic meltdown, all because she has a small chest. In the comments of this tweet is so disgusting, misgendering Brittney, calling her a man, saying that she is infiltrating the WNBA on purpose so that she can destroy all of them. And this is what we mean when we say to Black cis women that transphobia will not save you. Brittney must be a man because she has a flat chest and is good at basketball.
Nobody expected the phrase "for the girls" to become controversial. It reads more like something you'd find on a youth soccer trophy than a phrase capable of getting fans escorted out of an arena.
Good to see you. So Sophie's become a real target here, but she's taking it in stride. I guess this is what happens when you rock the liberal boat.
Well, let me tell you, I love Sophie Cunningham. It is wrong for biological men to be in women's sports. She knows that. I know that. She's on the right side of this issue. But anytime you get involved in something that's kind of controversial, you're going to get criticized.
But that is precisely what happened, and at the center of the storm sat a player who had already spent months being mocked online for saying something that, on its surface, sounds almost embarrassingly obvious.
All right, for anybody who would say that, well, Caitlyn just wants to stay out of politics, this is the same Caitlyn who tacitly endorsed Kamala Harris, the same Caitlyn who has bemoaned her white privilege. And this is so far beyond politics, this is common sense. Caitlyn had the opportunity to back up her own teammate here, Sophie, and say, yeah, men should not be in women's sports. Instead, she chose the cowardly way. In a world of Caitlyns, train your daughters to be like Sophie.
That player is Sophie Cunningham, and somewhere along the way, the internet decided to nickname her MAGA Barbie, intending it as an insult. Instead, it became something closer to a badge of honor among the fans now packing arenas specifically to see her play. Cunningham, a guard for the Indiana Fever, found herself at the center of national scrutiny after telling ESPN that she believed women and girls deserved protected spaces in sports, both on the court and inside the locker room, and that biological men should not be competing in women's athletics. She did not frame the comment as activism, she called it common sense. But in a media environment where common sense often gets treated as controversy, her words spread far beyond a routine athlete interview. What followed was not a quiet disagreement buried in the comments section. It became a genuine cultural flashpoint, with commentators dissecting her statement, critics demanding apologies she never gave, and fans doing something league executives could not have predicted. The backlash, rather than shrinking her relevance, appears to have expanded it considerably. It is difficult to separate the Cunningham story from the gravitational force that is Caitlyn Clark, because the two have become linked in the public imagination, whether the league intended that or not. Clark's rookie season produced numbers the WNBA had rarely seen. She broke attendance records in multiple cities, pulled in historic television ratings, and helped push several franchises toward valuations nobody was projecting just 2 years earlier.
On the WNBA, Sophie's alone. She's alone right now.
I think there are a lot of people that agree with her. They just don't want us to talk about it.
But that's even worse.
Yeah, it is.
That's even worse, that you're going to allow one of your colleagues that's trying to protect all of you guys, as if it's a controversial point of view to say that the men should play in the men's league and the women should play in the women's league. And right now, all the attention and scrutiny, they're going to try to suppress her. Thank God that her advertising is going up and many people are backing her right now.
Analysts have compared her cultural impact to Michael Jordan, not because their games resemble each other, but because both athletes proved capable of turning casual onlookers into paying, invested fans almost overnight. She finished her rookie year as Rookie of the Year and placed 4th in MVP voting, numbers that support the hype rather than merely justify it. That kind of commercial gravity creates leverage, and leverage tends to expose whatever cracks already exist in an organization's foundation. When Clark and Cunningham share a court, they are not simply bringing longtime WNBA supporters through the doors. They are State Farm Arena in a game that started as basketball and ended as a case study in how quickly a league can lose control of its own optics. Fans in attendance that night had paid premium prices for the experience, some spending close to $1,000 per seat, and many of them showed up wearing simple black t-shirts from the brand XX-XY, printed with the now infamous phrase, "For the girls." There was no profanity involved, no inflammatory imagery, nothing beyond a short reference to female biology. Yet during overtime, arena security approached these fans and told them to either cover their shirts or leave the building. One fan later described sitting quietly through the entire game, making no scene and holding no sign, only to be confronted simply for what she was wearing.
And a lot of people had questions, man. How did this happen? We actually haven't heard anything about a surrogate or anything like that. The announcement was just Brittney Griner and Cheryl are expecting. Now, we all know, guys, that 2 women cannot conceive a child. I mean, that's just a biological fact. But with Brittney Griner in the midst, people are actually speculating, hey, this probably really could have happened, because a lot of people believe that Brittney Griner is not a female.
Footage of the confrontation spread across social media almost immediately, racking up millions of views within hours and forcing both the WNBA and the Atlanta Dream to issue public statements acknowledging that security overstepped. It is worth pausing on how strange that admission actually is. A women's professional league run by women for women found itself publicly apologizing for silencing fans who wore a shirt referencing basic human biology. If that sentence sounds like satire, that is only because reality occasionally writes better jokes than fiction ever could. The contradiction became even more difficult to ignore once compared with what the league did allow that same night. While fans wearing biology-based shirts were being told to cover up or leave, the arena's video screen displayed a message supporting transgender inclusion without any hesitation whatsoever. Nobody was asked to conceal that message. Nobody was threatened with removal for it. The optics practically wrote their own headline, and commentators like Benny Johnson wasted no time highlighting the apparent double standard, using it to argue that the league's inconsistent enforcement revealed something deeper than a single overzealous security team. That inconsistency only sharpened further when the same broadcast welcomed former Georgia gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams into the arena, introducing her as the Honorable Stacey Abrams. While elsewhere in that same building, a mother wearing a For the Girls shirt alongside her young daughter was asked to leave. Somewhere in the stands, a fan was also caught on camera making an obscene gesture toward another attendee, adding one more uncomfortable image to a night that was quickly becoming less about basketball and more about who gets celebrated and who gets escorted out.
There's no way this is true, right?
That the WNBA knew Griner was biologically male and hid it for years to protect their brand and banned for life.
Brittney Griner is a man. First wife, she left after having them twins, took her to court and said, "These ain't mine," and walked away. Now, She's leaving her second wife, the same wife that helped her get out of that Russian prison working with Biden, to be able to come back to Arizona. And now she's like, I'm done. I'm out. I want a divorce. Man behavior, ungrateful.
Political figures were introduced with honorific titles from the rafters, while paying customers expressing a scientifically grounded opinion were treated as disruptions worth managing. As the on-court product continued thriving, largely because Clark and Cunningham kept selling out buildings, the league's underlying eligibility question kept resurfacing, refusing to stay contained to a single news cycle. Commentators began asking why the WNBA has never established a clear, objective, biology-based definition of eligibility within its own governing rules. Johnson's argument centered on chromosomes as a fixed, unambiguous marker, pointing out that cosmetic changes can alter appearance but cannot alter genetic makeup. Whether or not that argument fully accounts for every complexity in the broader conversation, it captured something the league had clearly not addressed with any real specificity, and that vagueness left the door wide open for speculation to rush in and fill the void. That vacuum did not stay theoretical for long. Once a governing body avoids drawing clear lines, the public tends to draw its own, usually pointing directly at whichever star happens to be most visible at the time. In this case, that scrutiny landed on Phoenix Mercury center Brittney Griner, and once her name entered the conversation, the story shifted from policy debate into something far messier.
Yeah, and I looked at him like, I ain't going up in there. We gonna have to fight. Like, cause I'm not going in that tank. I'm not going up in that tank.
And how many men were in that tank? If you
like 4 or 5 of them up in there. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but they'll put you in a men's prison. Like, you'll be in your own room, but you'll be in like I was in a couple of men's
You was
prisons.
isolated to your own. And were you the only person, or did you have to share your confines with somebody?
None of what followed involved an official investigation, a verified claim, or any statement from the league itself. It emerged instead from a chaotic swirl of resurfaced photographs, old interviews, and online commentary feeding off itself in real time. A widely shared image of Griner with a full beard following her release from Russian detention became the spark for online claims questioning her sex, claims presented with total confidence despite having no basis in medical evidence, official record, or credible reporting. Around the same period, news broke that Griner had filed for divorce from her wife, and that unrelated personal development was quickly stitched into the same online narrative, treated by some commentators as though it somehow supported the earlier speculation. It did not. It was simply proximity mistaken for proof. Some voices online escalated further, calling for mandatory DNA testing across the entire league, treating an unverified rumor as though it carried the weight of scientific evidence. It is important to be precise here, because precision is exactly what this part of the discourse lacked. Every claim questioning Griner's biological sex remains, to this day, unverified internet speculation, not established fact, and no credible source has confirmed any of it.
So here's a quick question. If Sophie Cunningham can use her platform to discuss both controversy and basketball, where the fuck is she when there's 100,000 people in the state where she plays basketball without power right now? She's got a big platform. Like it or not, she's got a big platform. She could actually have some influence and get some people there to help the people in the community that she benefits from.
The real story is not whether those rumors are true. The real story is that the league's refusal to establish transparent, science-based eligibility standards created the exact conditions that allowed unverified speculation to dominate national sports conversation for days. When an organization leaves its most basic definitions ambiguous, it does not eliminate controversy. It simply hands that controversy over to the internet, where nuance rarely survives contact with a viral headline. Even older footage resurfaced during this period, showing Griner appearing to mouth an insult toward Clark during a heated on-court exchange, with some viewers claiming lip readers had confirmed a slur-laced remark aimed at Clark's race. Whether or not that specific moment played out exactly as described, its return to the spotlight illustrates just how much tension has built up around Clark's rise, and how easily that tension gets redirected toward established veterans now finding themselves compared, often unfavorably, to a rookie reshaping the league's entire commercial identity. And that brings the story back to where it keeps circling, again and again. Amid ejected fans, banned t-shirts, honored politicians, and unverified rumors swirling around a veteran all-star, Caitlyn Clark has continued doing exactly what she was doing before any of this controversy began.
Essentially, the only person in the WNBA saying that there should be fairness there. I mean, are you guys crazy? Do you understand what's going to happen to your league? The NBA already subsidizes the WNBA already. Right, so the league was on its heels. They're trying to get rid of Caitlyn, who has been a generational talent, has brought more eyeballs on there. The moment that guys walk onto the practice field and start competing there, the sport is going to be done.
She plays basketball at an elite level, night after night, largely unaffected by the noise surrounding the league she now anchors commercially. Young fans describe her not through political language, but through simple admiration, calling her their role model and describing an aura around her game that numbers alone cannot fully capture. Her logo trees, her court vision, and her competitive edge have translated directly into ticket sales, television deals, and a level of mainstream attention the WNBA had been chasing for years without success. That contrast between Clark's straightforward excellence and Cunningham's stand on a divisive issue versus the league's tangled, reactive handling of both might be the clearest window into what the WNBA is currently grappling with. This is a league experiencing unprecedented commercial growth at the exact moment it is being asked unprecedented cultural questions, and so far its instinct has been to manage optics rather than clarify policy. Fans ejected for wearing a biology-based phrase, a veteran star pulled into unverified speculation, a rising star carrying commercial expectations no rookie should reasonably have to shoulder alone. And in the middle of it all, a guard from Indiana who simply said what she believed and found herself both vilified and celebrated for it in nearly equal measure. Whether the league eventually addresses these questions directly or continues hoping the controversy fades on its own the way controversies sometimes do remains genuinely uncertain.
Misgendering me when they told him real men don't play basketball in a women's league. Stop misgendering me. He used their logic against them. It's a beautiful thing. And then they were like, well, then go get the hormones and go get it all. I'd rather do it the way that I'm doing it. And as long as I'm doing it and I'm transitioning and it's my own way, what does it matter if I do it my way or your way? Stop misgendering me. He's playing the card perfectly.
What is clear is that Cunningham, Clark, and now Griner have all been pulled into a conversation none of them fully asked for, one that extends well beyond basketball and into questions about fairness, definition, and who gets to speak without consequence inside a sport still figuring out exactly what kind of institution it wants to be. The scoreboard that night in Atlanta showed a final result like any other game, but outside the arena, in comment sections and group chats and cable news segments, a very different kind of contest was still being played out, and unlike the game itself, that one shows no sign of ending anytime soon. What makes this moment particularly striking is the timing. The WNBA is not struggling for relevance anymore. It is dealing with the opposite problem, an audience larger and more emotionally invested than the league's existing infrastructure was ever built to handle. Cunningham gave that audience a voice on an issue many fans felt nobody in a leadership position was willing to address directly. Clark gave that audience a reason to show up in numbers the league had never seen before. And Griner, whether fairly or not, became the name attached to the consequences of leaving that larger question unresolved. Growth tends to expose whatever a league has been avoiding, and right now, the WNBA is discovering that filling arenas is only half the job. The other half is deciding what kind of league it wants to be once everyone is finally watching, and that decision still appears to be a work in progress.